Now, I'd like to dwell more on brands who are getting it right, who have been since the time we were born and who are still very much visible, who are still very much relevant even up to now. What would you consider to be their recipe, their ingredients for staying relevant based off on your overview of what works for them really?
For brands that have this longevity thing going for them, they've been here for the longest time. First of all, they're not arrogant. Brands that decline or that fall, one of the internal core factors, it would also be arrogance. Every business has their life cycle. You know, what's that thing called now? The development stage, how the growth, maturity, and then the curve begins to decline. For brands that are doing very well, it's not because they never declined or anything, but it's at the point whereby they spot it quickly, they're not arrogant, they understand how the market works, they understand their industry, they understand that every brand needs to always evolve at some point. You have to understand the trends. You need to be very flexible enough to understand your market. You are not in the business for yourself, we are there for the market, for the people that you're creating for. So you need to understand consumer behavior, you need to spot changes quickly, to know when you have done your time and when it's time to evolve, when it's time to refresh, you know. So brands that are doing very well are quite consistent. They never rest on their oars.
It's good to have you back again on the Coffee and Comms podcast. My name is Omotayo Okewunmi. And I must tell you that today is nothing short of amazing. But just before I go deeper by telling you what we're treating and review our guests for today, I'd just like for you to see this clip that speaks to the brain behind the Coffee and Comms podcast, the services that the Soldray Communications Limited offers, and the value you can glean from this organization. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still the Coffee and Comms podcast powered by Soldray Communications Limited. And the last edition was super amazing. Then we dwelled on how PR helps you, the value that PR offers, and how you should take advantage of PR. Now, this time around, we're looking at what makes brands go into extinction. For brands who are dwindling in that public trust, how you can come back and glean on the success story of brands who are still getting it right many years after being in the space, like brands that you know from when you were a child, and now that you're an adult, those brands are still very much relevant and popular. They're spoken about. And that brings us to how PR saves you. How PR saves you. All of the nitty-gritty we discussed with our amazing guest, who is a brand management and corporate communications professional. She's well experienced to speak on this topic, and I must tell you that this would definitely be value for time. It's Coffee and Comms podcast. Welcome. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Coffee and Comms podcast. So grateful that you're able to join us on this episode, and I must tell you that it keeps getting better and better on the podcast. My name, Omotayo Okewunmi, your regular host. Today, we are looking at something very interesting. You recall that the last episode delved more on how PR helps you, but now we are going a lot more practical as we get deeper into the conversation on how PR saves brands, right? So a brand that has missed it, how you could get revived, and how you could ultimately avoid going into extinction, as a brand, an individual, or a corporate entity. And to have this conversation, there could have been no better person. She is a brand management and corporate communications professional. She's the right person to speak to you. And please don't go anywhere. Sit still till the end of this conversation because it would definitely be value for time. Drum rolls as I introduce the guest. Her name is Dara. Hello, Dara. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good to
Sorry
see
for
you.
having
Look
me.
amazing.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes, the
Yeah.
fine Dara
Oh, well, thank you.
presenting. All right.
Omotayo, yeah. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So, Dara, I'll just go right into business because this is some people's reality.
Yeah.
Some people started off well, but before they knew it, they went into extinction. So, what makes a brand go into extinction? We'll start with that.
So, first of all, we're Nigerians. So, I mean, whatever we're saying here today would be vis-a-vis our local context, and the corporate space in Nigeria. So there are quite a number of things that can make a brand go extinct, that can make a brand decline, that can make a brand die, whichever way you see it. And first of all, from my experience and what I've seen so far, are usually categorized into two, like the internal factors, external factors, right? So I'd say for the internal factor now, sometimes a brand. So now, because of depending on the example, I'll be giving either corporate examples or person, brand examples or events and like that. So usually an internal misalignment, right? And that we know that a brand is not just about the name of the brand or all of that. It's the collection of sum total of all the experiences and all the elements that make up a particular thing, like either a corporate, a business, or all of that. So sometimes when a business is not staying true to what they say they stand for, right? In their processes, for example, their internal structures, in the way they treat staff, in the way that finances are managed, it can really snowball into something really big, right? So we have the internal one and we have the external one, which a lot of brands are facing right now, right? Macroeconomic factors in Nigeria. I mean, a lot of brands went under in the past. So now, post-COVID and now, a lot of brands have been through a lot. I mean, so if you see any brand that is still doing well consistently over time, trust me, it would have taken blood, sweat, and everything extra, what happened like between the post-COVID and now, inflation. And even my dad would tell me that since he was born, the hydra-headed inflation that happened in the past 5 years had never happened in Nigeria. So we saw a lot of multinationals leaving the country. Do you get?
Yeah.
Or maybe changing their business models.
And some are even still living.
Yeah. So because it's easy to say, oh, internal, if you don't do this, if you're not aligned, people will not like you again. Public perception will change. But sometimes external factors, that somehow are attributed to or can be attributed to the location where you're operating can actually make a brand go down. Brands, like I said, brands that you can see a lot of multinationals that had to leave the country because the math wasn't mathing anymore, especially for corporate brands, right? So there are many factors, so many factors. And I always say that sometimes brand management and all of that, brand growth and all of that, it can be likened to a marriage, right? You see how some people, for example, that go through divorces will tell you that they really cannot say this was when the marriage broke down. It's an accumulation of the littlest things that you're doing over and over again, that you're not paying attention to. Same way with brands. From customer complaint, from negative customer experiences, to financial mismanagement, to leadership selfishness or very wrong corporate governance systems. Everything can crack. Like, we've had organizations where there's breaking news, stories where, there's maybe misappropriation of funds. People are padding their profits or their statements and lying about what profits they are making, and nobody knows about it. Internal leadership probably know about it and they're not saying anything about it. A whistleblower will come and everywhere is scattered. So you see, so there's been a lot of, and we have cases in Nigeria, especially family business or corporates that have family members as the leadership. Sometimes it could be mismanagement of funds.
Yeah.
They forget that they are building a business. This is not just our family business. Other people are reliant on that which we're building here, right? So they forget. So, and it's why I think I was reading an article a while ago where people were saying how many Nigerian businesses are like 100 years old, brands that are built. But while we're younger, I know there are a lot of brands that we knew about that if you mention now, you just like, remember, but where are they today?
Sure.
So there are many things, but I know for us here in the country, there's a lot of issues with internal misalignment, cost of operations goes really high, and they can't keep up again. What can business owners do now? And yeah, if you don't have an enabling environment for businesses to thrive, they will break down really.
Amazing.
So yeah.
And thanks, Dara. What I have heard you say is the fact that when you speak about brand going into extension, it's the entire being that makes up the organization. And the beauty of how you've responded just sort of sits in the fact that building a brand should not be put aside as comes work. We don't really need it. We have our operations going well. We have our finance thing doing well. We have our top management doing well. Then why do we need to care about the brand? But this has helped situate the fact that a brand is the life of the organization itself. Spot on. So moving on to the next question, which now zero in more on the brand declining, right? And maybe they've gotten funds to have a comeback, or maybe certain leadership mistakes that were done, you found a way to correct it and you really want to come back in the market. What are practicable steps, for brand who have gone into extinction to come back, to face the limelight, to continue business and get that public trust once again?
So honestly, I always say that, first of all, like I said, we're speaking in local context now. I feel like right now, a lot of primary audiences here, I'd like to think, are Nigerians, right? So, and I also know that our consumer behavior in Nigeria here is, I know that Nigerians are quite forgiving. We can make noise and shout and hey, ooh, ah. As soon as you get your act back together, I think Nigerians are very forgiving. You know what I mean? So, with respect to this, I'd like to say that for brands that are declining or that are long dead and they're trying to come back, the first thing is to do a brand audit. An audit, like why did we fail the first time, right? It's very important, and I mean a very deep audit. And then when you find out what these issues are, it's also important to now put new systems in place that ensure there's no recurrence of such that happened before, and also close all the loops, all the gaps, all the holes in the system that can allow a recurrence. Then there's also the need for, it depends on the kind of strategy or the kind of industry that they are playing in. If you're playing in the FSI space, financial services, I don't know if that's even possible. I mean, for you to want to come back like that, because I know that one of the currency that we sell in the FSI space is more of trust.
Yeah.
Like everything that you build in the financial services is based on trust. So in as much as I'm saying that Nigerians forgive and all, I don't think that the FSI, financial services brands or companies fall in this. I don't know. People will
probably just change the name or something.
If they are going to forgive you for that kind, dealing with their money, their livelihood, some people die, some people have a stroke. Like you cannot miss, and that's why it's very. I like what CBN is doing, making very stringent, like all the regulations that banks need to be very strengthened and all of that. But for other industries, like I said, it also depends on the industry that you're playing in. If you're playing in the fashion space, you might want to use a lot of strategies, maybe like authentic storytelling, include a very solid PR plan or strategy, very important, to retell your story. And then if you have been bad in the past and you're coming back, don't just lie. Just be as authentic can be. own your misses, own the mistakes that happened, tell the audience or your targets why you're not coming back. And you can even, funny enough, you can even build something on the mistakes and how you've developed something better, and how you are back to ensure that there's no recurrence, or how you're back to, or how the mistake helped you to maybe pivot or something. It could be you're changing your business model. It could be that you're diversified. It could be anything. But you are very upfront. You're very transparent, and then you ensure that the same stories that happened before don't repeat themselves. Very important.
You.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much. So now let's situate this response to the brand being a politician.
Yeah.
You know, this is the electionary period, and a lot of candidates are preparing to go to the polls. So now it's a politician we're talking about.
Yeah.
You missed it at the last elections. Yeah. Probably you got lower votes even at your own call it constituency, yeah. Right? So some people would even be very mean about it, to say that it was probably himself and his family members that voted for him in his own constituency. So like the brand was not they did not send the brand like that. So and now you want to have a comeback. So let's situate your
so this particular so yes. You're saying now that the person so no, there's a difference between you not doing well during the elections, yeah. And you having a bad brand. That's two different things. So there are two different things.
But a good brand will always get you that attention.
That's not true. You can be a good brand and your PR is weak. And nobody knows about you. If nobody knows about you,
I'm clocking it. Yes, excellent products, but we don't know you.
So you can actually be a good brand,
yeah,
and you're not winning. Either because your strategy is not good. Because again, some people, different definitions of strategy and so, but in the simplest forms,
yeah.
Or in the simplest form rather, it is how to win. Your strategy is how you're winning, how you're differentiating yourself in the market, how you want to stand out, or how you want to position yourself in the minds of your people.
Sure.
It's simple. So how do you do that? From I'm good to let them see that I'm good. That's two different things, right? So
let me drink to that.
So it's okay that the politician. So just I don't know, but I know that. I think you've increased the amount that you have to have to
run for office.
So I know that's a lot of money. I mean, so imagine having that and then not having money to. So it's a lot of money, and it's a lot of money. But I also believe that it could also be. I've also learned in my journey that money is not my only currency. You can leverage your relationships with people. You can leverage networks and all of that. I mean, if they are willing to support you in that journey, and it's just that, I don't know. In Nigeria, sometimes our current realities just defy everything we learned in the book. So you know how you are very happy, you have these networks, and sometimes people now get in the office, and these networks that help them now begin to ask them for money. Do you get? So money that's supposed to be used to better the lives of people will now be used to refund your support that allowed me to get here in the first place. So it's just really dicey. But I just know that being a good brand as a politician is not enough. Yeah. You need to put your face out there. You need to go out there. You need to use the media, tell your stories. I mean, tell your story. First of all, you also have to decide in your constituency who are the guys that have the largest votes, who are the guys that vote. And that's why you see a lot of politicians go for the market women. They are the ones that they are like, if you do the mapping, the stakeholders and all of that, it's a very core, target group that they go out, they go all out. So that's why it looks as if they're giving them rice and Ankara and all of that. And because they also know that they will go all out. They will come
power play in that sector.
Exactly. So they are opinion leaders actually. They are, is it the yellow jar I want to say? Or so a lot of other things. And the good thing now is that social media is now like our mainstream media.
Sure.
So the only difference is I'm not sure that the people on social media will go out to vote because we vote. And that's why that time that we had the conversation about is it digital voting, and it would have been I don't know if they're going to go through with that plan, but I think it would be a very good deal if we had that the kind of votes that you're doing and can give you real-time results.
All right. Thank you so much, Dara, for that explanation. I believe this would do a lot of politicians who are seeing us, a lot of good. Knowing fully well that your good intentions really does not translate to votes. You need to go out there, map your stakeholders. And that is public relations, not
something funny just came to my head. I want to believe it's not true, but I saw that uh, some politician had handed out underwears as part of the electoral. And I think the comment section was the most hilarious thing. I think it was about politics in Nigeria is now underpants or something. And I'm like, what did we get?
First of all,
What did we get yet?
that seems very intrusive. It seems very intrusive to me because that's like personal items, all right, for people, and that's going. I mean, come on. I'd like to think that even if you had to share stuff, you're sharing things that have more long-term value. True. Things that speak to the needs and the pain points of your people. That speak like educational materials that just seemingly for students. Yes. And please don't tell me food. I know that people might come from it hearing this, but the truth is that Africa is probably the way but we're probably where we are right now because like our thinking in like short term. Yeah. We always would go for the guy that was apokari or rice or kind of wear a kind of feeding less than 6 months. Do you know what I'm saying? Educational materials, you're sponsoring people to get a course or to trade. So I'm just saying, things that have more long-term value than just what I can get now. That's what I think. So I don't understand. I don't understand the idea behind whoever brought that idea.
Should see arrested. But that was just on the license number.
And if you would allow me, I wanted to ask something about the PR. But I just wanted to establish for politicians that so it's not what we're saying here. Of course, we recommend PR every time.
True.
And if you remember during Buhari's campaign, PR felt later today, and these guys they were did PR for these guys, and we know the story. Actually, has talked about it at some point. What I'm trying to say is that PR is good, yes, but I only recommend PR for something that is already good. True. PR should not be used as a strategy to cover debt, right? It's just like a perfume. We don't like perfume, right? So, somebody's very dirty, stinky, and they're using those perfumes to, when people now, the bad thing with the how PR can also become a double-edged sword in situations like that is that you call people to your weaknesses. Now that you've amplified yourself so big, everybody, by the time they now have personal contact or communal contact with you, there's a gap between what you say you are and what they experience. Right? So it now makes whoever the PR person is look some kind of way, like you're not trustworthy and all of that. So for politicians, I don't even think any credible PR person should be working for them if they cannot attest of what their character is. And that's the issue.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dara. And I'll just sum up your last phrase saying that be careful what you amplify in the face of the public. Because the moment you amplify it, the more attention you're drawing to it, and you don't want people to meet something
Different, or what's difference? What do you call it?
spot on. And this is the absolute time to take a quick break on the podcast. Please don't go anywhere. The program is still Coffee and Comps podcast, and our amazing guest Dara Ogunbowale is still on the show. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. It's still Coffee and Cons podcast, and I'm glad that you decided to stay the course. And so we'll just pick up on the conversation as to how PR helps brand in terms of saving brands that are dwindling or gone into extinction or just want to be right, in the face of their publics or their target audience. Now, I'd like to dwell more on brands who are getting it right, who have been since the time we were born and
they're
who are
still
still very much visible, who are still very much relevant even up to now. What would you consider to be their recipe, their ingredients for staying relevant based off on your overview of what works for them really?
So for brands that have this longevity thing going for them, they've been here for the longest time. I'd say that they are, first of all, they are not arrogant. I always say that sometimes brands that decline or that fall or that go, apart from these macroeconomic factors that I mentioned earlier, or one of the internal core factors internally would also be arrogance. I forgot to mention that because I feel like sometimes, every business has their life cycle. What's that thing called now? The development stage, how the growth, maturity, and then the curve begins to decline.
Yeah.
So it's just the way human beings are. We grow, we mature. When you're like 92 or 100, you go and meet God. So it's the same way with brands, right? So for brands that are doing very well, it's not because they never had
evolution is what you were trying to
exactly. So it's not like they thank you. It's not like they were or they never had or they never declined or anything. But it's that the point whereby they spot it quickly. They're not arrogant. They understand how the market works. They understand their industry. They understand that that every brand needs to always evolve at some point. You have to be flexible enough. You have to understand the market that you're in. You have to understand the trends. Like do you get what I'm saying? I don't want to mention brands now, but remember how one of the software companies that we all know, did a particular phone brand, and they saw how softwares were changing, but they weren't adapting along with that, and they just kept thinking, we can, and then before with every other phone brand like took over the market, and then they were
gone.
Do you know what I'm saying? So you need to be very flexible enough to understand your market. You are not in the business for yourself. You are there for the market, for the people that you are creating for. So you need to understand consumer behavior. You need to spot changes quickly. You need to be flexible enough and humble enough to know when you have done your time and when it's time to evolve, when it's time to refresh, So brands that are doing very well are quite consistent. They never rest on their oars. And trust me, it's a very hard job building a brand. It takes a village. And then they understand that, I always say that the product, the organization, the person, whatever it is you're branding, is like the cake. The branding activities that you put on is like the icing. You can do all the aesthetics, all beautiful, all the icing is fine, and people cut through, and then your cake is messy. So you see the internal structures are in place, corporate governance is solid, they're always looking for ways to evolve and get better. Even their internal, like I said, staff, go and check brands that are doing very well. Even their staff also feel like, there's some brand advocacy there. I'm not going to mention it. There's a particular brand now that everybody talks about. Everybody talks about them. And I feel like, as much as we think that they do a lot of PR and ads and marketing and stuff, when you experience their products or the brand itself, it doesn't fall short of what they say they are. True. So you see, when there's an alignment between a brand and what they say they're standing for and what people experience, that's like a win. First of all, it increases your equity, your brand equity, as your brand value. If you've been here for the longest time, it's like very fantastic. I've worked with a few brands that have been here for a while, and because I now worked in those organizations, I'm like, oh wow, I see better why they are doing very well from the outside, because I see how their structures are. I see how they treat their people. I see their corporate governance structures. Do you see? And it's not like they're perfect. Oh, no. They're not. Trust me, they're not. No. Even when we get to heaven, nobody is perfect. But they just have a way of evolving, adjusting to things. Sometimes some of them have to restructure to get, So, yeah.
Amazing. So what jumped at me is the brand promise. Yeah. That's the secret ingredient. So regardless of the aesthetics, the brand promise has to be.
And then the brand promise is not just what you say. Yeah. Is how you express it across every touch point. It has to show. When they say, hi, I remember one time I had an issue with one of the banks and I called the customer care. She just, how they sound? Good afternoon, you're welcome. I said, please, cut it. I said, can you listen to me? I need you to prefer a solution. Stop sounding like a robot. I need you to hear me. So you know what I'm saying? And I get it. They are trying to meet targets.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure if you work with customer service, you know that they have to pick a number of calls you need to do. But come on. I'm a human being. You're human. This is, thank you very much for calling. I will get back to you the next time you did answer my question.
She was playing to the script.
So yeah, so everything. So like that's customer service, but even on your digital channels, like every touch point, your staff have to show it.
Yeah.
You can't say you are luxury. And that's why I see some small brand, micro brands, when I mean like maybe MSM is coming up, maybe in the fashion space or perfume space, you say you're a luxury brand and then you go for road shows, not even road shows, let's say product, activation or something of that sort. And then I meet your staff and they smell. They don't smell of the perfume you say you are selling. They don't look good. They don't look like luxury itself. Come on. That's some dissonance there. I mean, it is not at par with what you say you are. So, I mean, just...
Everything has to...
It has to align.
It has to clock it.
It has to mix. It has to cook.
It has to make sense. Like, make it make sense.
Exactly.
All right. So, now, let's go to this. And it looks like content creation is the in thing now.
Yeah.
I scroll through Instagram a lot, and it sort of gets me laughing when I see the trend. And the recent one is the fact that if you want your brand to go viral, you have to dance. So, and some people have made fun out of the fact that you have to dance and stuff. And also, aside from the dancing beat, there's so much pressure on content creation. Like, content creation is the way to get your brand to target audience. So I'd just like you to weigh in on that. What's your take? And
so, like I always say, I'm still going to go back to local context.
Right.
In Nigeria today, it looks like that is it. I listen to Trisha Abiz a lot and I learn a lot from her. So dancing can work for you. If it works for you and your audience, is fantastic. Do what works for you. As long as it's not eroding the core or your brand essence. Do you get what I'm saying? If you're dancing, because I see some dances, I'm like, hey, come on, stop it. It's sensual, and you're not selling condoms or something. So what exactly are you dancing for? Do you understand? I'm just saying. But there's some dances that are just decent and everybody just feel good and all. And we can't say that this is like set in stone. I guess it is just what comes with our terrain. I was looking at, like I said, everybody that knows me, that people in my space, they know I talk about meltwater a lot. It's not like I'm even selling for them. They don't know me. But we use meltwater, like if you're a comms person, for listening, for brand measurement, your brand performance and stuff. These are the tools, some of the tools you use. And I remember that in 2024, meltwater, the average, Nigeria has the highest viewership on social media across the world. I checked their 2026 report. We've gone to number 3. My point is, we are still top 3. We are always on social media. So this is the thing. Every B2C brand, if I say B2C because if you're a B2B, I don't know why you're dancing. Do you get what I'm saying? You better be providing value. But every B2C brand, where the mass market are your core target, somehow they just know that there's a lot of attention at that point on social media. So anything to, and then again, if you ask me, I feel like the figures already show it's a symptom of a larger problem. Because countries that produce these phones and all of these things don't even spend as much time as we spend on social media. But I digress, I'm just saying. Anyway, so B2C, if you think that's what works for you, do it. Right now, there's a lot of attention on social media. People that are depressed want to come on social media. And a lot of people are also thriving on social media. That's the truth. So if all the audiences that you seek are on social media, the cash in on the attention then. And don't forget that Nigerians don't like story. Nigerians are, I don't know the average attention, the time for the attention span right now. I don't know if it's less than, I know maybe it's less than 1 minute now. But I know that every year it looks like it's going shorter. It's getting less, so everybody just wants something. So what can you say that will catch somebody? It has to be some funny moves. It has to be something that once you do like this, people are like, wait, So I guess that's how people, I feel like that's the psychology behind the dance thing. And it could not even dance. Some people, it will be the first phrase they say, right? So yeah, anything that just catches, don't forget that's the hook. Anything you first say that gets in, whatever works for you and your audience is for me, as long as it's ethical. If you're a corporate brand, as long as you don't annoy the regulators in your space, as long as you do not trample on human rights, as long as you do not erode the essence of your brand, do what works for you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I love how you just explained it. And it's important that people think through whatever it is they are going ahead with and not just behave like the Joneses. All right. So dancing helps, but be mindful what you do. So we're wrapping up the conversation now, and getting a PR or communications advisor or a consultant or an agency seem like some sort of luxury for some persons, or some persons do not even see the need to, because they're like, we're doing well, our business is fine, we're making sales. So if you were to cancel, when is the right time, to start having this conversation on having a PR partner or a comms person that helps your brand going?
So, as you were speaking, I'm not going to mention her name, but there's a popular actor now or actress, a woman actor, who is very big now. And I know many years ago, she decided to take on a PR person who is also popular. I'll tell you at the end of the program. And if you look at her graph, since she took up or she started partnering with the PR person, the PR professional, she has grown and net worth has grown. The difference is usually very clear if you get a PR person that knows what they're doing. So, and it also depends on the like I said, the stage that you're in. Some people will rather just have a PR person, like a consultant, right from when they start building. Some people feel like they've gotten to a decline stage and they just need a revamp and they need help, right? So it's easy to just say you're a PR consulting or you want to get a consultant and all that. But I just hope also that businesses are able to listen to their PR consultants, because a lot of times they don't. I feel like they just employ the services of a PR person or comms person just to, let me be very clear, comms is broader, PR is very niche. So
True.
a professional, just to tick the box, like I get. So the person, I've been in meetings where the professional is trying to advise business owners and then they take over the meeting. And so if you really know what to do, why did you get the person on this call? Can you let them speak and just listen? Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah. So I think it's very important. The same way every person that is serious about what they're doing should start thinking about getting a lawyer. You know what I mean? Even if you don't have a lawyer, you should know what legalities are, in your space. Is the same way you should have a PR professional. Like, it's very important.
Thank you so much, Dara. And before I let you go, I'd just like for you to more or less like your parting shots. If there's anything you want listeners to go away or take away from this conversation, what would that be?
Two things. I have two messages for individual brands and corporate brands. When I say individual brand, I mean persons, because everybody's now having a personal brand. This is everybody, my brand, and it's okay. Everybody, especially, have you been to LinkedIn recently? Every other WhatsApp. So it's okay to amplify everything you do. It's okay, but just ensure that authentic. One of the things that I fear most is not to say I am what I'm not. So you have to be very authentic. Everything that you say you've done, that you are, ensure that it is true to who you really are, right? So as you're building your personal brand, taking pictures and doing a lot of stuff, also pay attention to the inner you, the core that really makes you you. Because in the end, that's the real brand. For corporates, please increase your marketing budget. T for thanks.
Thanks. All right, and so that is such an absolute way to end this very interesting conversation. I must thank Dara Ogunbowale immensely for being so authentic, for being so real, and for sharing so freely. Yeah. So do well to join us on the next edition of the Coffee and Comms podcast, because you are the reason behind all of this conversation. We hear you. We want to assist you on your journey, And we're happy to support your brand as you grow into that amazing global brand that the world stares at. And please do well to come back and say thank you. All right. Do have a wonderful rest of the day.